several years since I had the privilege of being here, and last time I was here, we were at Tavern on the Green with how many people? 300 people. And so tonight, only a few years later, there are over 700 people in here, which is really incredible to be able to come back and be a part of that. It's amazing how much the organization has grown, and amazing to see how much good work it's done over the past several years. I was talking to Jen today during sound check, and somehow we started talking about, you know, how my life has changed over the past 10 years or so. And I started thinking about the fact that I'll often pick up a tabloid and read about myself. I love that. And I'll read a story about me, and I did something that I never really did, or my hair looks awful, I look like one magazine said at one point I looked like a drunk uncle at somebody's wedding, and it hurts, I gotta be honest.
So sorry.
Not that much anymore, but what bothers me the most really is I'll always think when I'm reading it that everybody else is reading it. Like everyone in the world is reading the National Enquirer, and they all see this horrible picture of me looking fat. And it breaks my heart. And that's because in my world, everybody has read it. Like all my friends have read it and made fun of me about it, and picked on me, and my family's all seen it. And the people in my world really all know about that. Then I step back for a second and I realize that out of 330 million people in this country, you know, less than 0.5% read that crap. And so I really don't have to worry about the fact that people really pay attention to that, because, you know, what I think is the reason it upsets me is because everybody in my world is paying attention to it, and it's a part of their world too. And it got me thinking about that today as I was reading my Facebook wall, being a proud, slightly less than usually proud North Carolinian today, but proud nonetheless. I looked at my Facebook wall and I had a lot of hope, because dozens and dozens of people on my Facebook wall were talking about going out and voting against Amendment 1 today. I voted last week, and I know so many people who have voted against it today, and I read it, and I got really hopeful, and I got really excited, because so many people had against Amendment 1 yard signs as I was driving to the airport this morning. You know, so many people who I know were voting against it, and I thought, yes, you know what, we may actually beat this thing, because everybody is against it. Everybody who I know is against it. I'm only seeing against. And then sadly, as I have been sitting here at dinner and looking at the results come in from the polls, I realized that, you know, unfortunately, North Carolina's taking a step backward in history this evening, which is upsetting. But I realized that because I surround myself with people who are equality-minded and who are passionate about the type of work that's being done by the Family Equality Council, a lot of times, because that's all I see on my Facebook wall, I'll forget that there are a whole bunch of other people out there in the world who either haven't been educated, or can't be educated, and are ignorant, and are not welcoming and equality loving like everybody in this room is. So it made me think that a lot of times in this room, everybody here is a supporter of what the Family Equality Council does. And sometimes we can forget that because we surround ourselves with so many people who are fair-minded and do believe in the basic rights of people, that we forget that there are people out in the rest of the world, outside of Manhattan, outside of New York State, which thankfully is equality-minded. There are so many other people who are not. And I think that's really the most important thing that the Family Equality Council does, is it reaches those people, and not just the people in this room, but it does it because of the people in this room. So you give yourselves a round of applause for making it possible. But when you look at that card in front of you on the table, if you haven't already picked it up tonight, I want you to pick it up if you didn't pick it up already, and I want you to make a donation, because we see the work and we see the good that's happening, because we see how many people in this room agree with us and know we're right. But the money that you're giving tonight, when you fill out that card and you hand it in, is going to make people who have 4 the amendment signs in their yard, understand the benefits, and understand that all families are equal. So make sure you pick that card up. If you haven't done it, a lot of people haven't. Pick it up, fill it out, and I'm sure you'll still take them, right, Nick? You don't mind if they're a little bit late? So everybody pick it up and do it now, please. I'm going to do one more song, which is even harder than the first one. And thank you so much for allowing me to be back here this evening, and thank you for supporting such an incredible organization.